Welcome back, guys. In this video, we're going to be kicking off our next project, which is going to be text summarization in the form of a meeting note. So let's suppose you have a meeting and someone took notes or you took notes, and then you just don't want to, reread those notes. You just want to know what the meeting was about. So you just basically want to summarize it. That's what we're going to be working on. And like I said, you can use this for so many kinds of applications. Like I'm going to say that, for this task, it should summarize the meeting notes. But maybe you wanted to, extract all the people that were present in the meeting. Maybe you want to extract the information regarding of, what the project manager assigned you to do in the meeting. So, be creative. Just because I show you a specific use case doesn't mean you have to, follow that. And for that, we're going to have to create a new Lambda function. And we're also going to have to create a new route in our API gateway, right? So I'm going to name this Bedrock meeting summary. I'm going to use Python 3.11, create function. This is going to take some time. And while it's actually doing that, we could create our route in API gateway, but we don't have the Lambda function to attach yet, so let's just not do it. In the configuration, let's add the timeout to be 4 minutes again, like last time, because you need some time for the model to generate its responses. Once that's done, I'm going to go to permissions, and I'm going to add administrator access to this Lambda function. Like I said, it's in production. That's not a good practice, but I do want to avoid any authentication issues or permission issues that we might have, if we need access to S3 buckets, Bedrock models. So I just want to make sure that, there's plenty of issues we could run into, and I just want to make sure that permission issues are not one of them. Okay, so here is our code, and I'm going to say, let's start importing stuff. Import Bodo3. Import bodocore.config. Import JSON. Import base 64 from datetime. Import datetime from email. Import message from bytes. And we're not going to be using any emails here, but when you upload, this Lambda function is going to be slightly different because we're not going to be, remember our previous function, we just sent it the key and a message. Well, for this Lambda function, we want to input actual documents, right? So we want to be able to read the content of a document, so it's not going to be in a string format. So, for this use case, you could even upload a document about a long meeting you had, or like maybe a documentation for a new JavaScript service, whatever, and then you can ask questions from it, right? Because remember, our Cloud V2 model has, a context length of 100,000. Which means that it can remember a lot of stuff. So feel free to do whatever you want with this information, basically. But like I said, this Lambda function is going to be a little bit different because we're going to be extracting information from a file that we upload through Postman. So it's not going to be a string like we had for the previous function. And we're going to be using the message from bytes, basically. Okay, so now I'm going to say def extract underscore text from multi-part. Okay, and it's going to have the input of the data, which is going to be the file that we upload. Because remember, this could have, what we upload as a file, it could have, multiple distinct parts. So that's why we use the message from bytes. Because remember, when we upload a file, the file can have a name, it can have a type, it can have the content. So it's not the same as when what we did over here was just, a raw string. So that's why we have to do some extra stuff, okay? So now I'm going to say that the message is going to be equal to message from bytes and the data that's inside of it. Awesome. Now the text content is going to be equal to, we're basically going to extract only the text from the document, and we're going to create a string from it. This is going to be the text content, and this is what our model is going to analyze, okay? If you don't understand this, don't worry about this, because you'll see what's going on. So I'm going to say if msg dot is underscore multi-part, like I said, we're checking if this is made up of multiple distinct parts. You know, it could have, like I said, the file name, page numbers, all kind of metadata and stuff. So that's why we want to check if this is multi-part. And if it is, we're going to say for part in msg.walk. This is how you basically traverse through it or just go through it. We're going to check if the part has a content type of text plain, because if it does, we want that. So if part dot get underscore content underscore type, if it does have the content type of text plain, so this is going to be equal to text slash plain. If it is, then we're going to append it to our text content here. So I'm going to say text content dot append, and we're going to be, you know what, we don't even have to use append because that's wrong. That's appending to an array, but this is a string, so append would not work. So what we have to do is do the plus equals. This is how you add to it. And I'm going to say part dot get underscore payload, and I'm going to set the decode to true because we want it to be decoded in the UTF-8 format, and decode it with UTF-8. And then I'm also going to add the line break. So that's because, remember, we're basically, if this is a text plain, we're going to add it to the string, and then after that we also want to add a new line. And I should have put this in parentheses like this. Sorry, now we have it. So make sure you have the plus \n wrapped in a double quotations mark. Awesome. Now if the message is not multi-part, then we're going to say again, if the message dot get underscore content type is equal to text slash plain, then what I want to do is text underscore content is going to be equal to msg dot get payload, and we're going to set it to decode to be equal to, did I misspell that? Decode to be true, sorry. And I'm going to say dot decode to be UTF-8. So basically, if it has multiple parts, like, like I said, the header, not the header, the file name and all those kind of stuff, then we only want to get the text plain. If it is not multi-part, then we just find the text plain part, and we basically set the message payload to be the text content. So now we have successfully extracted the information, and we just have to return it. Okay, so I'm going to say return text content dot strip. We're going to strip the trailing or leading white trails that we don't need. If text content, else none. So this is a one-line if statement. So if there is a text content, then return this and strip the leading and trailing white spaces. If there's no text, then just return none. Okay, so now we have created our first function. And the second function, we actually have a few more functions to create here. Is going to be the generate summary from Bedrock. Then we're going to have to save it to S3, and then the Lambda handler itself. So this video is getting long, and I don't want to make the video super long, so I'm going to save my changes. And in the next video, we're going to continue coding this function. So I'll see you there.